timing. Is above me really open? A little more open than everywhere else. Well, I thought it was more open. Alright, so I was really about to talk about the underworld first and how it ties to the pandemic. Dealing with the words and the similarities, they have the same definitions, but we'll get to that maybe in this video, or I'll make another one so you don't have to watch a whole hour or so. I will try to get through this quick, but you'll have to watch the old videos too, because I don't always say everything in one video, and sometimes it was just me trying to record myself because I couldn't at home. Okay, so just because of space, that's what got me using live. Okay, so and then some great reminders used to be like, yo, if you feel like you got some, go for it. And then some said, don't, it's over for it, which I overstand now. But yeah, we're gonna call this the compass of the sun. And I'm gonna break it down how the density levels, maybe not too much into depth, but how this planet is actually on the eighth dimension right now, and it has a timeline to each dimension, which the memory can relate to. So these stories on the timeline, when you was dealing with BC and AD, that was just dealing with the diamond. That was actually dealing with four dimensions, four corners, okay, which is the diamond. If you if you was able to twist the top and the bottom like this, now you have the Star of David, which is representing the magnetic field of the land, the spaces, and the seas. Because the whole circle, the period of the circle, and why it don't look like any other shape is because it's representing the magnetic field or the light, just like your aura. That's what it represents, that circle or that oval. Then you have your squares, but if you know we're on an elliptical tilt, it's a parallelogram, so we're dealing with parallels that cross, okay? And the reason they call it the cross, because it's an X at a tilt. And what do I mean by that? You have your north, your east, your south, your west at a tilt. That north is going to be at 33 degrees, but your 33 degrees is representing the meridian. And the meridian is a geographic half. Well, y'all see right here. I'm not about to do all that. Okay. So dealing with the X is representing change and time. Or time is really energy. It's measurements of energy. So the compass of the sun, we're gonna use the compass and the clock to track the sun from the direction it proceeds in, because that's what delta means. And delta is represented as this, the triangle. But it's so above, so below. Now you're dealing with the Star of David. Okay. So you have your 3 o'clock, your 6 o'clock, your 9 o'clock, your 12 o'clock. But what is that? East, south, west, north. Okay. A plus B equals C and denotes. Okay. So look, this is the timeline shit that I've been saying. I already made a video about it, but most people didn't even get through it. So I'm gonna try to make this quick, and then we can discuss once people realize what I'm talking about. If you done realize from the last 4 years for sure, this is representative for just 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. Really, it's 2021. So 2017, 18, 2018, 19, 2019, 20, 2020, 21, 2021, 22, 2022, 23, 2023, 24. Really, that's supposed to be 25. So I messed up saying that. Y'all know what I mean. It started for 2017. Okay, 16, 17. And now we're 7 years in. Well, 8 years in, I mean. So now we're dealing with, boom, this timeline. And sometimes it do deal with the ACBC, but we kind of passed that. So when people say age of Aquarius, that really started 2023, April. After April 27th, going into May. The thing is with this, it's a Hertz that's emitting, but the memory deals with it. The cells deal with it as a memory. Okay? That's why they're attacking your DNA. The thing that I want you to peep is 5D 60 time dealt with 1700s as you got up. Boom. 2022 moving forward, people was breaking down what was going on and still is. It was the reflections, like the revelation, people revealing it. But the thing is, it was the timeline with it. Even with Noah's flood 2340, that was like October. Okay, because it's a 3, 6, 9, 12. So you got your 12 months dealing with what? One sun. Okay, and then that's where the 13 come in play. It's always the plus one because that's what denotes. Like what denotes the 7 or the G was 6 stars, which was 3 twins, because 3 twins is 3 binaries. Those 2 binaries come together and create a light to form with the sun. So right now we're dealing with the 8D sun, and that's denoting the 9. But on the flip, the 9 is already there because it has to be. It's just like how your brain, that's how the 8 dealing with the 8 octave deals with a binary system. So it's like playing a 4-3-2 and a 5-2-5 together. I think I did that on accident. It happened. Maybe I did open up a portal, but I used to make beats and put it in different hertz. And from that, I couldn't put it in 528 because it wouldn't allow me. But 525 I was. And I was putting the symbols in different hertz and shit. But yeah, there's new shit, there's Nimbus, right? They got a nigga named Nimbus on, what's that show? He was a sea guard that controlled the police, pretty much everybody. And he controlled the waters and shit. His name was Nimbus. Well, it was on Rick and Morty. Yeah. So now they got this strain called Nimbus, but they saying it's part of the SARS-CoV-2. Okay? It's SARS-CoV-2. So you take the hyphen or SARS-CoV-2, and then they got another one, CoV-2. But they have the SARS. The S makes it plural. It doesn't have no hyphen or nothing. It makes it a plural word, meaning variants or mutations. Okay? And Delta was supposedly the variant. It started off COVID-19, then they said Delta variant. And then from Delta variant, you had your Omicron, SARS-CoV, Alpha, Beta, Gamma, all this extra shit. And they were saying it in different places because they was calling out plays this whole time, like a football team, changing formations. They have the same playbook, but they're calling formations. They're on offense. So when they say a certain code, everything, they move accordingly with it. They're speaking that code, but the thing is, it was a code developed from the language. So, but it's tied to numerology, and numerology is tied to the grid. Okay, so SARS, you take the S out, now it's singular. Now you're dealing with SAR, take the hyphen out, now you have co. Okay, SAR co is actually a prefix for a lot of things, and it's the reason it talks about the flesh eating and how the sarcomere is means flesh eating or consumption, but that's coming from parasites and also from cells dying out. But really, they have a gift to Zeus, which is called the Xenobot. They use the feminine aspect because they're trying to attack the X gene. So Xeno is spelled with an X. The masculine is with the Z. But as I said, when the Moors taught them shit and how to talk and all the extra shit, they was really, when they said they taught them the alphabets, it was really the alpha beta system. And the alpha beta system is your brain, okay? So each letter represents something, and it's also tied to numbers. It also represents the 3693. That's what I say 3693 because you always need a rebirth to the higher state. So that's something I'm just rocking with. I didn't never hear no one say that shit but me. So that's what I'm rocking with. It's just like the clock or even the circle or the aura. The 12 or the north was the 1, 2, 3, the rebirth, and then it denotes. It's really the 33 of the 6 and the 9 of the waters. But the waters with the 6 and the 9 is dealing with the air. But it's a flip of the Pisces sign, which represents the waters. It's all science representing trinities. That's why you have 3 signs per element. Then you have your 12 months to represent those shits. And that +1 is you. It always denotes into a higher energy. That's how you go into a higher dimension. Okay? So being that they use the X for Xeno, that's the feminine because they're trying to attack the feminine energy within you. So a lot of people could say feminine and think female, but it's really just talking about the energy, like the X gene. That's why men also have intuition and women have intuition, but women's intuition is even greater, or at least supposed to be. It's just they've been manipulated because the X can be manipulated unless you know thyself, know thy energy, and know thy enemy, because they're using your energy. It's just low key, we gave them consent here. Oh, they let me resume it off this. Okay. My bad, y'all. My phone died. It was charged. Reason why I even used the phone. But I think I left off of uh, how the intuition's been attacked because of um, X gene manipulation. Because the X deals with intuition, creativity. It deals with your soul for real, for real. So when they attack the X, they're trying to block you from you. And a lot of women is being blocked for them. That's really why they're kind of like in charge of shit that's going on without knowing. Because niggas who don't stand on nothing is gonna go along with what you doing. And then if they caught up in the world, they most likely gonna end up gay. So it's like niggas gotta stand on shit, which is happening, but a lot of people is just going along with the shits like it's cool, which is gonna be karma. But karma is a learning thing. It's just you gotta know You have more power than what you think, and you're in control. It's like becoming in control inside of a dream. This is like a dream here too. So you see reflections of you everywhere. It's just like once you can control what's going on in the dream, now you can do what you need to do. It's just the extreme manipulation. Once you understand what I've been trying to say about Mu and Nu, I don't even know why I deleted the video. Because there was some people that hopped on it. It was like, where did you get this information from? And I was like, I looked it up. But I wrote it down so I wouldn't lose it. But I got attacked on that too. So let's get back to it. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling right now. Because that shit threw me off a little bit. And that's what they meant to do. You know, when you have your phone on green, you got some charge. I was only on there for 10 minutes. This ain't my other phone, but it's probably like an iPhone 8. I peep when it overheat, they try, yeah. So give me a second. Okay, boom. I think I showed y'all the beginning. This is a delta symbolism. The other symbolism is a section code. If you look up UX, actually I'll look it up. Cause look, I got my tablet now. Hold on, y'all. My other ones is broke. I had hella videos that I was working on and recorded and never posted. So it's like some clips of it. But I've been really trying to do some physical works. Because that still deals with the psyche. Just like the Onum Sanctum is Mu and Nu. Brain manipulation, but it's really in the reflection of the brain. That's how the moon works. Dealing with the body and the waters, which is pretty much the planet. But output wise, that is you. That's how you can sync to it and like operate as one. But if your consciousness don't see it as that way, you might have doubt, and that's something that has to be broken. Because with doubt, there's no belief. And I'm over here tripping, just yapping and shit. But hold on, y'all. Okay. What I said, I was about to look it up. Oh, dang, bro. That's crazy. I guess we'll switch this up then. Oh, alpha, beta, chart. No, Greek, Hebrew. I done heard, I'm not talking shit against some great teachers, but it was two people. And I fuck with them heavy, but I still gotta say my shit. because I ain't even gonna say no names. But one said it was a young dude trying to tell the older dude about the um the syllables, and then the other dude I was listening to, he was saying how people try to refer to Greek, and that shit don't got shit to do with it, but it does. So the Greek and the Hebrew ties to the Alpha Beta chart, but I mean it ties to Egyptians and everything. All this shit do is just English is pretty much four languages, and them languages came from other things. Okay, so let's look up alphabet. Cause we was talking about this, you know. I did just hop on here talking about something else, but okay. So the term alpha beta refers to the first two letters of the Greek alphabet, A, B, while Aleph and Bet are the first two letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Oh, Balat. What the hell is that? But the word alphabet itself is derived from the Greek names for these letters, alpha, beta. So I'm saying alpha, beta is alpha, beta. Okay? And C, what they have in Greek says C is gamma. And gamma is what? A brainwave. Okay? So then from A, B, C, that's that could be a trinity or a triangle. And what is a triangle? A triangle does what? It denotes a higher self. It denotes the E for the G. Now we're at the 8 dealing with the H. Had a. Alright, so I didn't mean to go in this direction with this, but everything has to be said, so my random ass is just going to talk. Okay, so Greek Hebrew chart. Got my tablet today. Alright, so some of them be different with the wording and the lettering, so we gotta make sure we get the right one. Because I looked up numerology shit with gematria, with a gematrinator or whatever, calculator, and I was matching up intuition messages. Like I wasn't even paying attention to the numbers and what they came out to. When I did that though, I was by myself with the alpha beta chart, and I just let my consciousness do what it do. And I started seeing things with that. That's what got me writing, because it seemed like there was no reason to write all of this. And some things I did skip. I still read it just to say it was a reason for writing that shit. It was me showing me and other beings showing me, like, just period. Just trying to get me hip to the script. That's why I say smoking a J with my soul, hip to the script like I already know. Okay, so, alright. This is what I mean. The alpha beta chart is dealing with the brain. ABCs, all of these are cells, A through Z. There's 19. Ooh. Okay. There's cells A through Z. Okay. It's gonna be something you look up, even with physics, everything. The metaphysics, in my perspective, deals with um, chemistry, biology, pathology, and psychology, which is just combinations of each other low-key. But it always have to have a four. Whatever they say, it was three different people, it was always a four. But look, okay, so we're dealing with this right now. Eta, but it's the H. I said Heta for some reason, but it's Eta and Cheth. Okay, this is before I move on, because really we need to break down the eight, and I need to with myself, so I guess I'm just record myself doing it. Okay, so something I wanted y'all to peep. Delta is the fourth letter of the Greek alphabet, dealing with Dalet in Hebrew. But the D, oh, that's what I was, see how it comes right back to this? That's what I was supposed to search up. You see these symbols? Number 4 is delta. You have your triangle, and then you have this snake-like symbol, okay? When you have one above, one below, that is the US code symbol, or the UX section code. They say it means the section code, whatever. But then you have the triangle, meaning delta. But delta means denoting an energy in a direction proceeds in. It deals with that delta management, which deals with hedging. It deals with uh, UV. That's why the triangle upside down is the sun. That's when you have your triangle down, your triangle up as a diamond, which is pretty much a parallelogram, but which is low key a square at a tilt. But your triangle up or your triangle down, that's the Star of David. So something with David deals with these codes because it's really the same sign. I mean, they probably have its own meaning, but it's still dealing with the word delta, which is 4D. Okay, 4D. When did that happen? 4D 2021. The brain got activated. That was the 144. It wasn't the 144,000, but it still deals the same shit. Okay. As a Hertz, that was dealing with the 144,000 in the brain. Okay. And that's what happened with that. And start revealing a lot of things like the E, the epsilon. That also deals with the cough. Like, I used to say cough and get it wrong, but you'll see that. You see the cough symbol, right? How these star links is working. One above, one below. If you draw 3 of them just the same way, put one above that circle, and keep doing it. Then you can connect it in a tilt as an X. Then you're gonna see a whole cell be reproduced, but it's really how these planes is coming together, dealing with what? 1. So the 12 is just really this round type shit. But it deals with all these timelines. Now all these timelines is like these dimensions coming together, but it's really changing the density level. Okay? At least it's trying to. You don't want to be weighing heavy. You could be heavy, so to say, with weight, but you could also be light. You could be, what I'm saying, you could be a big nigga, but you could still be light as a feather. Feel me? And that's gonna deal with your density. But I'm getting off point, I think. Okay, so you have your delta, boom. So after delta variant got denoted, you had something called Omicron. Omicron, you have is the little o to the big O. The big O is omega, okay? Where's omega? 8, okay? So Omicron is little o, that's 7. But it also means Ayin. which is also 7. 7 plus 0 is 7. That's Ayin. So Omicron, Ayin. Omi means Ayin, which is to see. Okay? Dealing with the shit. Ayin means to see. Yeah, Ayin means to see, dealing with the eye, gamma. Okay? When that's denoted, it start making variants. Okay? Because they was trying to attack. You feel me? But dealing with these foods, that gets mutated also, and it could develop what you call the fugaziness. Okay? So y'all niggas took that fugazi. You need to get this shit out. And we gonna get to why. Because they told us in code, and I'm just gonna tell you how they said it in code. Okay? So Omicron, Omi means the eye, which is A, and Cron means let's look up what Cron means. I wish I was using StreamYard, but my computer started messing up. That's why I said I got my computer back. I ain't even been on that bitch. Alright, so let's look up what cron means. Okay? Cron means okay. Hold on. I wish I could pause this shit. Alright, so cron meanings. Okay. I'm gonna add the tab. This would have been so much easier on StreamYard. But adding the tab, you got Alpha, Greek, Hebrew. Try it. See, I really was going to chill outside. Even though it looked like it was going to rain. It was going to rain on me if I was outside. I was going to tell you about grounding and shit, but we on this now. I'm just going along with it right now. Green light. Also, this is the 369 how. 1 through 9, we're at the 8. That's when the 9 ether. But there's no number greater than 9, so they put it to a higher scale, right? But that's still 1 through 9. And then it goes into a higher scale, that's your 9. Then your grand finales is that 4. Okay? Which pretty much be these last 7, maybe 4. And that's just like representing how people be talking about the scientists. I ain't really go into all of that, but going off of memory, I know it's tied to this shit too. So it's 19 keys. And then you got the 4 alternates. But really, if you peep game, some of the letters be describing binaries and tri-solar systems. And most of the tries have a 4. Just like how we're about to be the 4. Sirius is not a fucking planet is a portal to Sirius A, B, C, X. Okay, that's why every 3 months, with the faces of the dragon, it denotes just like the Lionsgate that's coming up. It's doing that. It's lining up. Okay, so it's gonna denote into a higher state. Okay, it's a 3693. So through these 12 months, every 3 months, it's going to denote to a higher state representing 90 degrees of that aura. And then when it comes to that full completion, which is the last 3 months of the year, dealing with January to March, well, actually February 27th to April 27th. April Fool's is the new year, which represents that new gear. So that's where we at with it. All right, so getting back to point. Kron meaning, what is Kron? Say, Kron represents 7, Ayin represents saying 7, Omi means Ayin, okay? Let's just make that clear. You could look it up, or I could look it up, but I feel like everyone, even the news was saying that, so I feel like everyone got that. If you haven't, go look it up. So you know I'm not capping, okay? This is why people be on some NPC shit. Okay, so in computing, cron is a time-based scheduler in Unix-like operating systems. Unix-like operating systems is like universe operating systems, okay? All you gotta do is beat game. I'm not saying believe me, but this is the breakdown. Okay, so a time-based job scheduler is the time is being based off of frequencies, okay? That's why my theory of measurement dealing with the cells is, I mean, I know for myself that's what's going on, but just to explain it to y'all, hood science. Hood science is theory. The year is the hertz, okay? So the frequency coming off the sun as stars is joining, because it's binary systems, or it's binary systems to create that point, like a pyramid, okay? So let's just read this shit first. It's a time-based job scheduler in Unix operating system. It automates an execution of tasks known as cron jobs at specific intervals or times. Okay, that's dealing with protons. The intervals is dealing with protons and electrons that's hitting the planet. We be having protons, storms, and all that. And at the end of the day, that's antimatter, or what they call antimatter, okay? So cron essentially is a daemon, a background process that runs continuously and checks for scheduled tasks to execute. Okay, so a daemon ties back to the Greek version, I guess, a demon. Okay, so when people be like, I'm on demon time, you're really saying you're on NPC time, okay? Because you're like a fucking NPC in the Matrix. You're like one of them niggas that just get in the way for no reason in GTA when you driving up the street and they just hop in the street. Y'all niggas just be in the way. But we be peeping energy. It's just you can't feed into that chosen ones. You just gotta alchemize the situation or just leave it alone. But that's when it's like it's not the person, it's their spirit, which is their perspective. And that's being manipulated. So just like how Neo was Neo and then he pretty much took the pill again, he had memory and came back, and then but everybody was still like on some NPC shit, just living life, you feel me? Like just doing the regular norm. Now we're going back to the regular norm, and it's just like a spell that you gotta break. Cause it's like you see yourself doing it, but some niggas just go get shit. I mean, I did it, but these kids, they already got that consciousness, and really, grown-ups still have that consciousness. Cause most of y'all niggas just be pretending the whole time, be a whole live kid, or don't even want to express it because you're scared to, or dealing with anxiety, dealing with yourself, going against yourself as your own enemy. But anyways, so cron is that. Okay, so time-based schedulers dealing with frequencies that's going on every year. It starts off 90 and it went up. And every time it went around, these solar flares hitting the grid, the map that they show y'all is how you track where it's at. Because it's going to hit the same areas around the same time. No, not around the same time, but like in motion type shit. It's just now the radius of the flare is way higher. I need to find a pen or something so I can show you. But I'm a little shell right now. Had me a little drinky drink. But look, okay, so cron, you said what cron means. And that's you got your prefix and your suffix. That's a suffix of the word Omicron. So if Omi means the eye, which they are trying to manipulate, uh, and the cron is the bot, okay? Because An is also a prefix, but all it needs is another letter to make it another word. And that's where Zayn comes in play. Because An and Zayn was pretty much kind of tied to each other in the Bible. Okay? So getting back to the I. In Psalms 119, the Hebrew letter Zayin, which is the seventh letter, see that's right back to seven, of the Hebrew alphabet symbolizes both a weapon, sword, sustenance, nourishment. It represents the word of God as a powerful weapon in spiritual warfare, while also signifying the ability to nourish and sustain believers. That sounds like some eye shit, right? Okay, so what I was saying with the numerology, that's how I learned numerology with the alphabetic chart. It showed me some things. So for me, it's like I might stay on something, and if I don't stay on it that time, I might just move on to the next thing. So Zayn is the seven, Omicron is the seven, An is the seven. So I weapon, okay, that's what An Zayn means. I weapon, Alpha Omega, okay, Alpha Omega, An Zayn, I weapon, okay. So the weapon could be used as your sword, or it could be used against you, which will be yourself against you. Like when you wrestle with that angel, Faniel, is you against you at this point. Okay? It's just like a dream. Okay? So A and Z, that's a 777. And when the seven settled, the snake year, which is the 8th year from when this shit started, the 8 out of 12, or 8 out of 13. So the snake also represents the eye, or the sword. And it also represents Delta. So the pit organ and the snake, what is that? It says pit organ in snakes are specialized sensory structures that allows them to detect infrared radiation, which essentially heat. These organs are primarily found in pit vipers, such as rattlesnakes and copperheads. Also in some boas and pythons, they are located in depressions or pits in the snake's head, usually between the nostril of the eyes, which is what representing as symbolism this, okay? Because this does the same thing as what they just said that snake does, okay? So that's what the snake ear is representing, but the snake ear also deals with some whole other stuff. And I, I, I like how bruh be breaking it down with the Chinese astrology and numerology. But getting back to point. So you have Omicron broken down, Zayn being connected to that. Now the Xeno prefix matches Zayn. So the weapon is the Xeno, which is the gift of Zeus. Okay? And they break it down and other shit now, but the Xeno is the gift of Zeus. Okay? Which was the story of how they try to defeat Kronos. Feel me? And Kronos was who? It's automated shit. Greek personification of time or a fault-tolerant job scheduler for Apache missiles. In Greek mythology, Kronos is the embodiment of time distinct from the Titan Kronos. Okay, so that literally matches up to what? Y'all see that? That matches up the Kron. Okay? But let's see what bot means. Because the Xeno, they got something called Xenobots, and they're pretty much AIs that could be transferred through a lipoprotein, like a shot, and pretty much match up with your T cells. Especially if you're dealing with animals that's matched up with it, it could become an uncontrollable substance. So that ties back to your foods and the shit that was mixed up with it. And then you being under the sun, as the sun is denoting your cells. So it being a mutating wavelength, it can mutate the shit that's already in you due to your consumption. And if you didn't have the shit that they want you to have in your body to mutate, then you would pretty much just turn into, you'd be synced in with the universe. But the same way they synced in with this AI is the same way you can sync in. So you still have to know thyself, know thy energy, and know thy enemy. Because that deals with the moon, the bodies in the water. That deals with your body and the waters in your body. And you 70% water. You gotta come back control of it. Okay? So bot means, because the first thing people think bot means is a robot, but that's really the second definition. And it still is, surprisingly. So look, the first definition is an autonomous program on the internet or another network that can interact with systems or users. I know it's talking about computers, but you have to see what's going on with this shit. There's already people at a Wi-Fi connections coming off their arm, bro. So the systems is the system. The users is the people. And the people is being looked at as a survey. Just like if anyone was on another realm and prisoner of war with reptilians or greys or some shit, and you just being surveyed the whole time as you go through this shit. Like, These niggas surveying us, bro. Z was a positive variant, a negative variant, and then the neutral variant is when nothing changes. So that's what's happening. So bot and crime. Okay, so bot is an autonomous program on the internet or another network that can interact with systems or users. Crime is what we said, boom. So those two match up, and Zayn matches up, but it's gonna match up with another seven, which is Zeta. Okay, and Zeta, I'll show these sevens again. You have Zeta, but Zeta is a Z. Okay, so then you come over here, you got a seven Zayn, but it's a Z. Okay, so Zeta and Zayn match up already, anyways. But it's a 7-7. Then you have Omicron 7, A and 7. So all of that is lined up. A and Zayn is I weapon. Omicron means I that's attached to an autonomous program that interacts with systems users because that's the bot. That's why niggas talk about bots because it's a cron thing. Call it a cron task is the scheduler goes off of frequencies that's coming off the sun, just like how your memory is going off of it too, and then people are revealing it going along with the timeline. But you can go with this energy and go higher. It's just most people who really doing it low key went higher even if they knew it or not. Okay? So getting back to the point, Zeta means Zetia in medical. Okay? Okay. Zetia is a brand name for a generic drug, ezetimibe. It belongs to a class of medication called cholesterol absorption inhibitors. Its mechanism of action involves reducing the absorption of cholesterol from small intestines. The Zetia is a medicine prescribed to help lower high cholesterol levels in the blood, but the thing is, it don't. It actually spiked it. The Zenibe is was studied from the Igbo tribe in Nigeria, which ties to the zombie type shit that was studied in Haiti. Dealing with those two tribes, they came up with this fucking voodoo potion. You feel me? And the inhibitors is really the jab, like the PCSKI or whatever inhibitor. That's dealing with the lipid protein. So the inhibitors do the lipoprotein to transfer the xenobot, which is coming from the Zetia, the Jabiton, the Fugaziness. The shit they've been trying to force niggas to take, feel me? They said it all in code, bro. It's crazy. When I heard they had to tell you, and then my pops was like, prove it. So I think he took that shit. So like he was like, prove it. And that's how this shit started. So look, it don't block the cholesterol, it spikes the protein. And when that spikes the protein, the hemoglobin is supposed to transport that protein to the respiratory system, and now that's spiking it up. But the thing is, the spike protein is animals. So the animals makes it an uncontrollable substance when you have a sun denoting with UVC radiation and with a UV index higher than a 3. Let me say that again. Actually, I'll catch that later. The UVC radiation is hitting can mutate the spike protein. You need amino acids, which transfers into whatever you was using your proteins for rebooting cells and all of that. That's what you need to be consuming. Other than that, you're creating cholesterol. Then they said certain pills you can't take, like blood thinners. You feel me? That do it. So that's why a lot of people drinking. Then they attack the drinks also. Okay. So the Zetia, they say that's what it's supposed to do. It don't do it. Okay. And they most likely say you're gonna have to eat well, knowing that you still gonna go along with their diet. And that's spike proteins. You don't need substitute proteins for your body because that's foreign agents in the environment, which is the definition of variant. And when it's dealing with you, you deal with uh, nature outside of you, the realm, this whole magnetics jump, you. So they have to attack the outside, and then they give you a choice for your consumption, but it all deals with each other like a trine. So if you can at least do 2 out of 3 correctly, then you can see still what's going on. But it's best to do 3 out of 3. Other than that, you might get sick or feel sick a little bit. Why? Because there's foreign agents in the environment. Okay. And when you have charged particles going on, yeah. So, dang, my little tablet keep closing up. Uh, but yeah, Ezetibate was studied in the Igbo tribe. It ties back to the Igbo tribe when you break down the word. Um, so this Sarkov is really Sarko. And I already made a video about this, but Sarko comes from the Greek word sarx, meaning flesh. Okay? So the flesh ties to mirror. Sarcomere is a structural unit of myofibril and striatic muscles consisting of a dark band and near half of each adjacent pale band. That's a different definition I've never seen. But that also deals with that pain, people getting behind their leg or people getting gout. Is neoplastic being built up and like, which, because they saying it's supposed to help, but really it just builds up the cholesterol because it's making a block from the flow like a dam. So that's pretty much all they're doing, creating a dam so the currency won't flow, because if the currency flows, then it can heal itself, which they don't really want because of money. And the ones that's unknowingly knowing the shit just going along with it like an NPC. So sarcomere ties to the flesh eating because the cells can start to die out. And when it's dealing with the cholesterol or the sodium, your sodium channels is your melanin, your blood, and your plasma. Okay? And that's where these spike proteins be. That's what could also be mutated, or you can clean it up, you know, in this time and really break the curse. Or when you making babies, you just passing on the same shit. Like niggas be just eating hella stuff just to go bust a nut, and then you making babies with the shit that you eating, which actually pass down the problems to what's going wrong when you can have a time to clean it and at least get to the point or the state of matter where little shit like that can't even live in your body. Like that's what's going on. And it kind of makes sense just to be celibate until it's all over. Not saying like can't have it, but I mean like don't focus on that shit. Okay, I got off topic for shit show. But yeah, I was just talking. Probably better make another one.